Salvete, we are continuing with lines 212 to 219, and we have just seen the snakes, the twin serpents, coming from Tenedos, rather ominous, as the Greeks are also hiding out in Tenedos, and they have spied Laocoon and are heading toward him. So let the gore commence. Here we go. Difugimus vis sexangues illagmine certo, Leoco untapetunt et primum parva duorum corpora natorum serpens amplexus uterque implicat et miseros morsu de pascitur artus. We'll stop there. Difugimus, we flee. That's the main verb. And the subject is nos. No, you know that because of the mus ending. Difugimus, we flee. It's present tense. And we exsangues. This is an adjective that's modifying the nos, which we understand is there. Bloodless, meaning pale. Exsangues, with the blood out of us. Pale. And visu is an ablative, so either from the sight or because of the sight. Difugimus visu exsangues. We flee bloodless, pale from the sight. You would be pale too if you saw these serpents heading toward you. Il agmine certo leoco unta petunt. The illi, those guys, are the snakes, new subject, and they petunt, are seeking, or are heading for, present tense, third person plural. They're heading for leako unta, that is accusative, it's a Greek accusative. It's leoko un, nominative, leoko unta, accusative. Agmine kerto, how were they heading for leoko un? Agmine kerto, in a sure line, a sure battle line. Remember, we used the same kind of language when we described the winds. They went out agmine facto, like a battle line having been made, I believe we said. So agmine certo, in a sure battle line. Et primum parva duorum corpora natorum serpens amplexus uterque implicat, et miseros morsu de pascitur artus. We have some nice alliteration going on in different places here. Petunt et primum parva corpora natorum serpens amplexus, lots, implicat, de pascitur, keeps going. Also, miseros morsu, also very nice. So, and primum, first. Just translate that like an adverb. At first. The serpens uterque, each serpent. Serpens uterque, each serpent. And there is another adjective here, amplexus, having embraced, each serpent having embraced, that also goes with the serpents. The parva corpora, now those go together, duorum natorum. And we're going to use our purple for genitive here, because these are genitives. Duorum natorum. And you see that you got parva goes with corpora, and duorum with natorum. These are accusatives, these are genitives. And this is interlocking order, A, B, A, B, but not in the same line. So since they're in different lines, it's enjambment. And add some effect here that they're in different lines and everything's split up. So one more time, let's translate. And first, each serpent having embraced the small bodies of the two kids, these are Laocoon's kids, implicat, finally our verb here, entwines, and you got to put in eos, them. Okay, the kids, or you could say ea corpora, the bodies of the kids, entwines them, folds around them. Et miseros morsu de pascitur artus. And each serpent, remember we're still singular, so that's why this is singular, and this other verb is singular, de pascitur, feeds upon the artus miseros, the miserable limbs, morsu, with a bite, with its bite. That's ablative. How does it feed upon them? With its bite. So one more time, let's do all that. And at first, or first of all, each serpent having embraced. And I guess this is not an adjective, so to speak. It functions like an adjective, but it's a present deponent participle. I mean, not present, sorry, perfect deponent participle. Each serpent having embraced, so again, it's passive in form, but active in meaning, because it's deponent. Each serpent having embraced the small bodies of the two kids, his two kids, entwines them and feeds upon their miserable limbs, or their, pitiful limbs, morsu, with its bite. Pretty gory, pretty gross. Post ipsauxilio subeiunt tactella ferentem, corripiunt spirisque ligant ingentibus. Post, afterwards. So this is contrasted with the primum, right? First, they fed on the two kids. Post, afterwards, they, and the subject is still illi, these snakes, or each serpent here, but now we're back to plural if you see the verb here, has a unt. Afterwards, they snatch up, it's our verb, they snatch up ipsum, he himself, meaning leokoun, right? Remember, ipse can mean the one in charge of the situation, and that's leokoun here. They snatch up he himself, or the master himself. Subeuntem. This word is going up, auxilio, for help. That's dative. Let's get I think it's beige for dative. No, pink, I think. Auxilio, going up for help. He's coming to help them, so then they snatch him up. And let's do it one more time. And next, or afterwards, they snatch up, the snakes snatch up, he himself, going up for help, or as help, and ferentem, and carrying, tella, this is also accusative. This is the object, tella, weapons, is the object of ferentem, the present active participle here. And this is accusative because the snakes are snatching up leokoun. This is accusative, accusative, accusative. So these all describe leokoun. They snatch up he himself, who was going for help, present active participle, and they snatch up he himself carrying weapons, bearing weapons. So all of these relate to the same person, right? They all refer to leokoun, who's being snatched up. The subject is the serpentes. You got to supply that, or just imply that it's serpentes from before. Let's go ahead and finish it up. Spirisque ligant ingentibus, et iam bis mediam plexi, bis collo squamea circum, terga dati superant capit et cervicibus altis. And they ligant, they tie. You got to put in him again, meaning ipsum, back here. They tie him. Spiris ingentibus, this is an ablative. Is and ibus, tell us ablative plural. With ingentibus, huge coils. Okay, that's how they tie him, ablative. And now, bis, see this anaphora here, adding drama. And now, bis medium amplexi, they having embraced His middle, it's like medium corpus, I guess. His middle, bis, twice. Okay, and now twice having embraced his middle, and amplexi is the subject, modifying the subject, which is the serpentes again. Having twice embraced his middle, and bis is an adverb telling us they did it twice, and this is the accusative telling us what they embraced. Again, bis kolo squamea circum terga dati superant. Twice they dati. Now I know usually it's having been given, but Farr tells us to translate this like a middle voice, which means you can translate it actively. Twice having given, see his note on that in the appendix if you want to see more on that. Twice having given their squamea terga, their scaly backs. That's accusative with this participle here, which modifies the serpenti again, serpentes. Okay, one more time. And twice having given their scaly backs. And, oh, I'm sorry, dati also goes with circum. These words normally would go together. Circum dati, but they've been split up. And so we have enjambment going on here where they're on two different lines, and they have been split. And we call that timesis, which means literally a cutting of the words. Timesis. And so circum, let me do those in green. That circum and that dati really go together. Normally in prose they would be found together, given around, but in poetry you can cut stuff apart and add effect by doing that, so they've been cut up. Timesis, cutting. Twice having given their scaly backs around his neck, collo, it's a dative, collo, and it's dative because the word circum dati takes the dative as an object. Okay, so it's special verb with the dative. They superant, they overpower. They overpower. Capite et cervicibus altis. You got to put in eum. They overpower leoco un, him. And how do they do it? They do it, capite, with their head. Now I know it's only singular and there's two snakes, but this is a poetic use of the singular, and usually it's a poetic use of the plural. Here a poetic use of the singular. Farr tells us that capitibus wouldn't fit into the line properly because it wouldn't fit in a dactylic hexameter properly, so he uses capite. And with their cervicibus altis, with their tall necks, or their towering necks. So you got to imagine that leocaun is getting twice around the middle, embraced by these snakes, twice around the neck. They're giving their scaly backs around his neck, and then they're overpowering him with their heads, and I know it's head, but heads is what we understand, and their tall necks. So they're, got their heads up in the air, and they're feeding on him from above, probably eating at his head or something like that. Let me do the whole thing one last time so we can hear the context a little more. We flee bloodless from the sight. They, in a straight or sure line, head for leocaun, and first, each serpent having embraced the small bodies of the two kids, entwines them and feeds upon their miserable limbs with its bite. Afterwards, they snatch up, present tense, snatch up he himself, the master himself, meaning leocaun, going up for help and carrying weapons. And they tie him, you got to put in, with huge coils or spirals. And now twice having embraced his middle, and I would put in an and here. This is asyndeton. We're leaving out ands probably for dramatic effect and to make it sound quicker. And twice having given around their scaly back, or having given their scaly backs around his neck, they overpower him with their heads, but heads implied, and tall necks. Pretty gruesome. Thanks a lot, Vergil. Wale.